So when I think about my classroom and all of the things, one thing that really stuck out to me when I first started teaching was this universal design of learning and how can we support our learners, not just our students that struggle, but all of our learners. So that is going to be kind of our focus for today. Your Ohio team is Matt. So Matt is here. I'll let him say hi real quick.
Hello, everyone. I'll be working in the background to answer questions via chat. So don't be afraid to pop questions in the chat while we're working through the session.
Awesome. And we also have Scott, which I don't think he is on, but Scott is another amazing person who is a customer manager. So anything that you need, we are here to support you. We also have Margie and Wendy, who are also, they're waving alongside, who are part of the Cami team as well. But if you need anything, just use that chat and let us know. You can also reach out to us via email if there's anything top of mind too. Oh, look at this. You guys are already on it. I love it. So we have on page number 2, and I would love for you to grab the text box. And some of you are like, this is my first time in Cami. Where is the text box, right? Like there's all of these things on the left-hand side, and you'll see text box is one of those things. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take away a lot of those tools if you're still struggling to find it, because Cami has this thing called feature controls. And I'm going to go ahead and turn everything off but for the text box and the select tool and hit OK. And I want you to think about what made you sign up for today. What was it in the session description, in the email that was sent out that you were like, I need to be here. I want to be here to learn more about this. I want to learn more about Cami. I want to learn more about helping my new science teachers in the district create or adjust lessons so that they're UDL. I love that goal, right? So I just want you to take a moment and think about, what is your goal? What made you say, I am going to sign up for this session today? I'm going to spend an hour to learn. Oh, yes, advocating for your child, rightfully so, right? I want to learn more about UDL in support of my lessons. I want to help. Yes, I can't wait to see what that one finishes off as. So again, I just want you to come onto the document. If you run out of space, I will give another tool. It's called our comment tool. So I'm going to come into that feature control again and go into comments. And I'm going to allow you to use text, voice, video, however you feel you want to demonstrate your learning when it comes to goals. Okay, so again, if you are running out of room, feel free to use the comment tool. You'll just click and you can type your goal. Oh, I love spending time with whoever wrote this. I'm like, I knew it was Melissa. I was going to take a guess at that. I love Cami and I want to learn more. Yeah, I want my learners to be included. Matt's making a video. Love it. I'm returning to the classroom and I want to learn more about UDL and Cami and how to apply it to my class. Awesome. And again, Margie has put that link in the chat if you're still joining us. If it's your first time creating a Cami account, you'll just sign in. You'll either choose teacher or other. And then we're on page number 2. All right, so now I want to know, which one would you prefer? We've got this document with a lot of text, but then we have this document over here. So I'm going to click on these links. We have this nice kind of step-by-step document. Again, lots of text. There is some bold. However, we also have this document. It's in a Cami document. And it looks like we've got, icons, videos, emojis, more videos. Which one would you prefer? So now I'm going to go into that feature controls because I want you to use, someone already voted, I love it. I want you to use the sticker tool, okay? And so if you go into add media, stickers, it's all the way down here, although you'll only see the stickers on that drop down. And now we're on page number 3. You'll grab a sticker and I just want you to vote. Do you prefer a lot of text or are you a more image-based person that wants the videos, audio, multimedia approach when you have a lot of directions that are multi-step? So again, kind of think about that. So majority of us prefer the ones with the icons and the boxes and the videos and the audio files. And it's really interesting because a lot of times, at least when I was going to school or when I was teaching, a lot of teachers use the one on the left-hand side. There would be a document and I would see all of these different steps, and it was just a lot for my students to process. A lot of them had behavior issues, to be honest with you, because they didn't know where to begin. They didn't know where to start. However, when it was videos or it was audio files or it was creating with kind of that step-by-step process where they could track and kind of color off if they finished an activity, my students were more engaged in the activity. And this kind of one simple change that I started to implement in my classroom was really beneficial, not only for me as a teacher, but for my students. Before, when I used something like this on the left-hand side, I had a lot of questions. Miss Howe, what am I supposed to do? Miss Howe, can you repeat the directions? And I'm like, they're right there. They're all typed out for you. However, when I started to move more to the directions on that right-hand side, my students could rewatch the video. They could listen to the audio. They could go in and really kind of break down those steps. So I was able to actually be freed up to support my students with their learning instead of having to answer the direction type of questions. I could finally focus in on the content, the standards, all of that I was excited about. But when I had to repeat what they were to do, I was like, this is really not exciting. I didn't enjoy teaching. And so that was just something that was, again, a quick win for me, was being able to use some of the Kami features to record. I could go into comments and screen record my entire screen so my students could hear and see exactly what they were supposed to be doing when it came to working on this mastery check. I was able to leave a voice comment and read or explain what the lab report was. It did take a little bit of reminding at the beginning of my teaching to say, okay, you need to go into the video and rewatch it. You need to go back and rewatch it. I even would add like code words like pickles into my videos just to make sure my students knew exactly that they did watch it. So I love that, a lot of us do prefer kind of having more visuals or audio or even that multi-sensory approach. And so I want you to think about the world around us. Design really does matter, right? When we're going into maybe a hotel room and the toilet paper is over here, that's a little awkward, right? You're going to the bathroom and you need to reach for that toilet paper, but it's all the way on the other side of the corner. So design, UDL, first comes from kind of the real world when they're thinking about design in a house, in a hotel, in a building. And so I love this example of that toilet because, again, it's just awkward grabbing that toilet paper when it's not right next to you. This design right here with the door, you open it right up and there's the stairs. That's not safe, right? I think about my 2-year-old, Eli. He opens up a door and that kid would slide right down those stairs because half the time he's not paying attention. So again, design really does matter. Also, this one, if you're in a wheelchair or you have a stroller and you have to zigzag your way across, design matters, right? Sometimes that's very difficult to maneuver a stroller going kind of in a zigzag pattern. And so what kind of takes place is now we have doors that are automatic. And when I think about this, it's not just for somebody that's in a wheelchair. I use this all the time. If there is an automatic door compared to a door where I have to push or pull, I'm going through the automatic. I don't know about you guys, but that is how I am going to go into that building. It's more convenient, even though I'm not a person that has a wheelchair. Elevators, right? We have those too. If I'm carrying a heavy load of boxes, sometimes it's easier to take that than the stairs, or sometimes I'm just feeling a little bit maybe lazy where I don't want to take those stairs because it's been a long day. Also at the airport, design matters, right? We need all of those signs to tell us where we need to go. Okay, so when we're creating this universal design for learning, it matters in our learning. It matters how we set up our lesson plan to support our students in their learning. So when we think about this, we need to consider who is entering our classroom. Okay, so we need to consider who might we be building for, right? When we're thinking about a building and creating that, they're thinking about who's going to be entering this building. Same thing in our classrooms. Who's going to be entering my classrooms? How can I support my learners in my classroom? When I'm thinking about construction, have I planned and designed for all of those pieces to have that foundation and to support that student's learning? So am I planning and designing before I'm just teaching the content? Hopefully we're not just winging it, right? There's a lot of different pieces that happen in that background. Somebody in the chat earlier, I forget who it was, I need to scroll up just a little bit. I think it was Stella. Backwards design, right? Using that backwards design to support our teaching. What's the end goal? And what am I going to do to support my students to get there? Are we building for everyone to access? So again, in our classrooms, can every single student access what I'm trying to teach them? Or is there any barriers in the way? So that is kind of how it transfers from, the real world and buildings and construction to how it might relate to education. And so when we're diving into this UDL, we've got engagement. That's the why of learning. Representation, the what. What are we about to learn? Action and expression. How are we going to learn this material? And so when we're going through kind of creating our lesson plans, we really want to think about why, what, and how will my students be learning these different pieces. And so if you're not familiar, if you click on this image, it will take you to the UDL guidelines. And on this website, there are a ton of different resources and strategies to support you as an educator. And you can see again, we've got our engagement, representation, action, and expression. And underneath are all of these different areas to support our learners. Access, support, and then we also have executive functioning. And so when we're creating and crafting our lessons, we want to make sure that every single learner feels successful when we're trying to teach them any type of information. And so when we're thinking about this, there's some tools within Kami. Okay, so there's some tools that you can use to support students, whether they have a disability or whether they don't. So in this space, there's a way to voice type. Kami has dictation. And so you're able to use the text box, click on the screen, and up here is your toolbar. All the way down here, this is called voice typing. And I can click on it, tiger. And instead of typing tiger, I can actually voice type it and it will type it for me. Another thing is there's different fonts that can support our students, right? We've got Lexan and Open Dyslexic. And so all I do again is I can click on the screen, a text box appears. I can type my name, highlight my name. My favorite font is Poppins, but I can go in here and change it to Open Dyslexic. I can resize it. I can even change the color. Graphic organizers can be another way to support our learners. Comparing and contrasting can support our learners because they're having to take that information and compare and contrast it to something else. They're going, ooh, what do I think about this? What do I think about that? And so in Kami, if you go to add media, down here under graphic organizers, so again, add media, it's all the way on the left-hand side, and you're probably not seeing some of these tools because I did hide them from your screen. We've got a graphic organizer. And with this, I can find my Venn diagram. I could do a mind map. I could add in a Frere model. Whatever I need, I'm able to drop that in, and my students can quickly compare and contrast, or I can drop this onto their screens using ClassView. And we're going to explore ClassView in a little bit on how you can even more differentiate for your students. There's also those comments tools where I was talking about my directions. And with that, I can go over to the comment area. Again, it's all on this left-hand sidebar. Comments is right here. It's about the fifth one down. You can use voice, video, and I can give feedback to my students using audio, explaining their thoughts, my ideas, asking them questions to prompt their learning. Another new feature that we have available in Kami is this understand menu. We've always had our dictionary, but it's moved here. And you're going to be able to click on this and you're going to be able to explore some of these new tools that Kami has. There's also Translate. I remember taking documents and translating those documents for different students in different languages. Now students can highlight and they have control of their learning. I don't need to do this for them. They're able to go to understand, click on translate, and it will translate once they choose that language. They can listen to it in that language. They can copy it over to the side panel. They can copy, and then they can also grab the text box and paste it to this document or another document if they needed to. Also understand there's a way for students to explain. If they're struggling with a concept, they can hover over it or use this toggle. And it acts like that teacher's sidekick, where it's like, okay, let's break down this passage, right? Let's just take this one step at a time, right? And again, there's audio. You can copy it to the side or you can copy it again. This one often uses questioning to support students with either building background knowledge or supporting them with even directions. Explain works really well with math too. Summarize. This is a great way for students to get the gist of a passage or maybe the chapter. This can be a great way for students to quickly understand. There's also Relevel. This one is still in beta, where teachers can come in and they can maybe change the grade level. Maybe I want this at a higher grade level or a lower grade level. And it's taking those sentence structures and those vocabulary words and making it differentiated for that student. And again, I can copy it over to the side panel. There's also the Kami library right here, where I can explore over 2,000 templates to support my students' learning when it comes to using universal design for learning. There's alphabet tiles, but then I can also search additional activities, graphic organizers, or even interactive activities as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set a timer unless there's questions in the chat. I don't think there might be, I don't know. It looks like Hannah has a question or comment. And with this, I want you to just kind of explore. There are a bunch of slides in here. So you'll probably team up with a friend, a virtual friend, and you have all the way to page 18. And I want you to try, okay? I want you to try the voice comment tool. I want you to change your font to Lexan or dyslexic fonts. Add a graphic organizer. Use the comment tool. Try the understand menu or the read aloud. And if there's time, explore the Kami library. Okay, I'm going to set a timer for about 5 minutes. If you have questions, please let us know. And how many of you are like, Stephanie, I can't do anything? Remember, feature controls. I turned everything off for you. So there was nobody able to move ahead, hopefully. Oh, someone did. Oh, no, wait, that was me. Okay, so I'm going to go into sharing, update my feature controls. Everybody has all of those features once I hit OK. And now you're able to go ahead. Yeah, no worries. If you're like, I'm in a shared office, I can't do audio. No worries. Try out the text comment. Try out that. Okay, any questions? Let us know in the chat. About 30 more seconds. If you have questions, let us know in the chat. It looks like you guys are doing awesome. Hopefully you saw our feedback. I know Margie was leaving some feedback. I was as well with our fun little Cami sticker and memes. All right, time is up. Any questions? Go ahead and go to the chat and share your favorite tool that you explored. So I know, Hannah, you inspired me with this question. Hannah loves using Open Dyslexic and the new Understand tools. Those have been really helpful for Hannah. And Hannah's a special education teacher. So she's an intervention specialist. And I just love how she's using Cami with her students. Yeah, Matt, the Explain tool's my fave. Yes, all the Understool tab tools, all of them. Yeah, love that, Melissa. And we knew which one was Melissa's because she for sure said hello, darlings, on hers. All right, there she is. Oh yeah, no worries. This a link will also be available after today. So if you're like, I can't do this, I'm on my phone, no worry. This will be available after today. If you do want to go through the show what you know, you're more than welcome to. Lisa, she loves that there is a Cami library, right? She loves the Cami library. There are so many different templates and resources that you can find in here. Awesome. Okay, well, we did not show my favorite feature. So I hope you guys are ready for my favorite feature. I love to use this tool in my classroom because it made UDL differentiation a huge ease in my classroom. You can use Google Classroom, Microsoft Teams, Schoology, or even Canvas with Cami. All teachers need to do is they just have to go into Cami. This is a part of the premium features. So if you're interested in learning more about that, feel free to check with Matt because he can either help you test Cami out in your school or your district or in your classroom. So right here under my classroom, I go to classwork, create, and I click Cami assignment. Once I click Cami assignment, teachers are able to add any resource that they already have. I can add resources from my Google Drive, from a file on my computer, from the Cami library, Lisa's favorite, right? That's where she loves to go and find templates. So I can click on that resource from my Google Drive, and maybe I'm doing this vocabulary sketch activity with my students. I can come in and assign this right to my students and they can hit select. It attaches that file. And I come in here and I'm like, okay, we're going to be doing some vocabulary sketches today. I change my points. Maybe it's out of 10 points. I can add feature controls. So I'm able to take away that translate. I can take away that dictionary. I can also take away copy and paste. So depending on the activity, I can take away certain tools or I can allow my students to have the tools available to them. I'm going to hit OK and I'm going to save all of them. And I'm going to click assign. It's going to push out a copy to every single student. Right now, we're all on the same document. We're all working together. And so because of this, this can be great, but sometimes I want my students to have their own individual copy of the document. And you know, Melissa, she's that student that likes to delete each other's work, but she can't. In a Cami document, when you are doing a collaborative activity, students can't move or delete each other's work. Go ahead and try. I can though as the teacher. So as the teacher, I can come in and delete anything. However, Sometimes I want to make a copy. So that would be that one option in Google Classroom. That's where you want to create that Kami assignment. Students go in and they are able to go to their class. So here's my student account. They're going into their Google Classroom. They're going to find that class, go into classwork, and there's my vocabulary sketches. We're learning about landforms. And so my students have all of their kind of maybe vocabulary. Maybe I'm allowing them to choose, or maybe I'm going to use something really soon to differentiate. But right here, they can maybe grab the text box and add their vocabulary word. They can add their definition by maybe typing it, or students could use audio and say their definition. They can use the drawing tool to sketch a hill. Students maybe are coming over here and maybe their word is like island. They can again write that definition, but maybe instead of sketching, I want them to come in to add media and I want them to take a photo of something that reminds them of like an island, right? Like here's an island. They can then use tools in Kami for multimedia to explain and justify why this pin on my hand is an island. Why is this an island? And so they're able to come in and explain how this is an island using all of those different Kami tools. There's also maybe a picture note-taking where they're going to watch a video, draw and add photos and add onto their work and list 3 important ideas that they took away from their learning. Students have a lot of different tools to support their learning. They can use text, video, audio. They could use that understand menu. That is a lot of your favorite tools. And what's great about this is that student view. The students have the tools on this left-hand side. They can turn it in when they're done. But even if they're not done, the teacher can come in. Because I created this as a Kami assignment, I'm able to go to that assignment and hit Open Class View. And now that I open this up in Class View, I'm able to see every single student's screen at the exact same time. This allows me to know, is student August working? Oh yeah, I need to give them their words, right? Where other students might be able to choose from the word wall. But for student August, I want to provide the words that I want him to do. So I can come in here and I can differentiate, scaffold, support. I can even provide extensions to student Noah. Maybe he needs some harder, difficult vocabulary words because he's already mastered the ones that I've already given him. So again, this is in real time where I can see how my students are doing. And I can come in here and I can use different stickers, graphic organizers to support their learning. Just student Olivia got this mind map. No other student received that resource. However, sometimes I notice that all of my students could use a little bit of extra support. This button up here, this green button, will take you into the edit assignment. And what I can do is I can come on here and I can type the word hill and I can do this for them. And I can hit update all, have a classroom discussion, update that resource, and all of those students get that support. So that can be your kind of UDL button where every student gets that graphic organizer. Where in ClassView, I can just provide those resources to a few students. Okay, I'm going to pause for a second. Any questions? What are your guys' thoughts about ClassView? Yeah, it works in real time. Melissa says this is one of her favorites. It's my favorite too. Yeah, super convenient. Agree, Lisa. I can make, again, that support extensions really, really easy for your students. I've seen intervention specialists have visual schedules for students, and they're able to differentiate those schedules by using the annotation bank. They can provide those images already in here, and they're able to grab and drop that feedback or those anchor charts, memes, scaffolds, whatever it is to support that student right onto their screens. And again, that annotation bank, it can make it a lot better for teachers to give that feedback and support. Yeah, learning in progress with timely feedback. Love what Susan says. ClassView makes teaching so much easier. Great for quick, meaningful feedback. Yeah. Okay, so we can take a document that looks something just like this, and we're able to take any of our curriculum resources or activities, and we're able to add video, highlighting, and supports to really support our students to allow their learning to go deeper. Our students are going to have the read aloud to support their learning. We can add audio, video comments. We're able to also use Kami questions. So maybe here's that document before, and I'm able to come in and use video to provide this document, and I could read it to them, or they could listen to it using that read aloud. I could use pause points where they're watching a screen capture of me explaining some background knowledge to support my students with their learning. So now I want us to think about, students are given a worksheet with fraction problems. What barriers might you see? And what supports could we use to support our students? So now we're on page number 20. So you're going to scroll all the way down. And again, we have this fraction worksheet, and I'm actually going to give you an example of what this fraction worksheet might look like. And with this fraction worksheet, I want you to think about, what barriers do you see? What supports could we build to support our students when it comes to using fractions? And again, they're probably either adding or subtracting those fractions, where they have to change those denominators. I always did, what you do to the bottom, you do to the top, is what I would help my students remember that by. But again, I want you to just kind of think about. Here's an example if you want to see. So again, we've got 4 different problems right here. And then there's a word problem, another word problem. How am I going to support my students with this problem set? If I click open with Kami, what tools might you use? Okay, so again, what barriers do you see? And what can we do to help our students learn this difficult concept when it comes to fractions? Yeah, students might have the background knowledge they need. That can be a huge, huge gap. It looks really small. Yeah, some of our students have visual. They can't remember the first step. Yes. Yes. Here's that fraction worksheet again. So again, what barriers do you see? If you agree with someone, feel free to go to Add Media and give them a sticker. If you're like, oh my gosh, I resonate with this. Oh, students have a hard time writing in the screen. Yeah. You're like, Stephanie, you want me to use Kami, but they really struggle with that drawing tool. Again, use that sticker if you can +1 somebody that you're like, oh my gosh, me too. This happened in my classroom. All right, we talked about some of those barriers. Let's start thinking about how we can support this lesson to support all learners, not just students with disabilities, but all of our students, right? So here's this worksheet. Someone said it's really small. There is a way to zoom in and out on Kami. So right there, our students can zoom in and they can zoom out.
I mean, it'd be nice just to see an example. Steph, there's not even at least one of the problems done for us, so we have a model. That
Yeah.
would be something I would do as a teacher. I would make a video or like work it out and do a screenshot and then put it in here.
Yeah, and that's what Wendy also suggested. And so Wendy said using the comment tools
Wendy's brilliant. And just
is
saying.
brilliant. She is. She's just like you, Matt. So right here, she was saying, let's use the screen capture tool. Click. And once we click, I can start recording that example. And if you have an interactive board in your classroom or your teachers do, they can come up to that interactive board and solve it right here. And look, Cami is screen recording their interactive board right now. I can hit done. But what does a video do, Matt? Does it just support the student that needs that first example, or does it also support some students that might be absent?
I think it's supportive of everyone, inclusive of the families, right? Especially if I'm absent and now I have this assignment and I'm probably overwhelmed and I'm doing the work at home. Now, whatever family member is available, they can assist because they've got that fleshed out example directly from the teacher.
Yeah, because I don't remember how to solve fractions.
I wasn't going to say it out loud, but same.
So when AJ brings this home, I'm going to need a teacher video. I'm going to be going to YouTube if the teacher doesn't provide it, right? Another great suggestion from Hannah was using that screen capture tool as well to model that first problem for students. Yes, Hannah's on the right mind as us. Scaffold videos with screen capture is Margie's thought as well. And then we also have another idea from Stella using Kami instructional features together with peer modeling. I love that idea of scaffolding plus feedback. Yeah, a lot of these resources from Eureka are already differentiated by kind of DOK level. It will get more difficult as the problem set goes down. And so because of that, I often like to use the shape tool. And with this shape tool, I can go into that class view. So here's my class view. Let's go ahead and open up class view. I think it's right here. And I could go over to Student August screen. And I can say, hey, I don't want you to do 8 vocabulary words, Student August. I am going to come over here to this one and fill this. And I'm going to use, we'll use blue just so you can see it. And look, I can hide part of the activity for Student August. I can differentiate so that student doesn't have to do the entire problems. I can come over here and maybe I want to challenge student Dwight. Okay, they don't need to do this first part of this activity. I can fill this and say, okay, I don't want you to do this half of this activity. I actually want you to use 6 vocabulary words in a paragraph. I can change the activities really quickly by using that class view feature. And again, that's all I'm using is the shape tool. And I'm using it as kind of that digital whiteout to support my students. Oh yeah, Melissa also said, I would add some picture models, right? Some anchor charts. Lisa's like, yes. Yeah, you can add anchor charts by going into add media. You're able to add an image from the computer and you could upload an anchor chart that you have created. Or if a student created an anchor chart, you're able to open that up right onto the document. We're just going to put a picture of Stephanie. That's going to be motivation for my students. And I can have that anchor chart right there, right? Awesome. Yes, Melissa's like, this is a great idea. Seeing an example is a huge benefit, not just for students, parents, and tutors. Awesome. Okay, we've got another prompt. Okay, so that was for our math friends. Now we've got a reading comprehension question. Okay, we've got a document and I'm going to pull it up again. And I want you to kind of think about when it comes to maybe students need to read a chapter or a passage and they have to answer comprehension questions. What barriers do you see? What supports could we build in to support every single learner? Okay, so again, we're going into now reading, focusing on kind of that ELA, social studies, sometimes science, right? Our students need to read some type of passage, answer questions about it. And here might be that example. It's about volcanoes. Okay, so our reading's about volcanoes. They've got a passage. There's some questions down below. What could we do to support our students with this passage? What barriers do you see? Stella, I love your idea about manipulatives as well. And Melissa asked a question in the chat. Is there a way to add annotations like manipulatives that students can move? Yes. You would first open up the resource into Kami, add the manipulatives right on top. I'm just going to add like a graphic organizer. And once you assign this into the learning management system, Canvas, Schoology, Microsoft Teams, Google Classroom, students will be able to move this because they're going to be the owner of that document. So they will be able to do that. And I'm happy to support if you're like, I want to try this activity and make it like a drag and drop. Happy to support. All right, so needing different reading levels to understand. Yeah, that's a barrier. They don't have the vocabulary. Oh yeah, grab your heart if you agree. Go ahead and +1. Yes, Melissa, that does work with pictures too. So you could do it with place value blocks. Yes. Background knowledge. Yeah, my students. One time I was working with third graders and we were reading about the ocean. Do you know why the students struggled with that text? Many of them haven't even been to the ocean. We live in Ohio. There's no ocean close to Ohio, right? Like we got to drive, we got to fly, we got to go somewhere. And so the students really struggled. And so we started to add YouTube videos to build that background knowledge. And the way that they tested before compared to after building that background knowledge was insane, right? Our students need those supports. I agree. We need a sticker that says +1. I'm going to add that to our feedback because I'm like +1, add it. Yeah, add that idea. Reading the words can be a struggle, prior learning and reading comprehension. Students might not have the ability to answer the questions. Yeah, they might struggle with writing. They might not type it out correctly. I was terrible at spelling. The passage is not written in the language that they can read. Yeah. Awesome. So some of the ways that we can support these learners, I'm going to go ahead and use kind of what we have. So love what Stella said, we can reword strategies, modeling, and we're also able to give that feedback or note taking. Yeah, I can come into, again, that class view, provide a student with maybe a graphic organizer like this one, and tell them, hey, jot down, 3 different notes about volcanoes. That can be a great way to support our students. We also have Hannah sharing that students could use voice typing, right? Some of our students, they really struggle with writing or typing out their ideas. And so instead, we can have them open it up right into Kami, or we can assign it to them in Kami. And once we do that, they're able to use that text box or the comment, use audio, or they can voice type whatever they need to voice type. Translation. Yeah, we're able to have our students use translation with the Understand tool. A lot of our students need this support. So I can have them highlight or hover over and they're able to translate. Awesome. You guys have given me a lot of different ideas on how we can make our learning more inclusive. So I'm really excited about this. Now I want you to reflect. What is something you learned today? Okay, what is something that you're like, this stuck out to me, or I love this idea that Melissa shared, or I really like this idea that Wendy had, or Linda, Ryan, right? What's something you're going to try? What is something that you're like, I need to do this? Maybe it's you need to design your directions better. Maybe you want to add more video to your lessons. Maybe you want to schedule a call with Stephanie or Matt to learn more about Kami. Maybe you're like, ClassView? Wait, what? I need to reach out to Stephanie and get some more resources to understand ClassView a little bit better. So again, think about something you've learned and something you're going to try. Movable manipulatives, yes. Yeah, include a video of directions and model how to set up. Yeah, design matters. Backwards design in the direction of, or in directions for student needs. Yes, I love that. Yeah, if you are like, I agree with this, go ahead and use that sticker. Let someone know you love their idea. Start with the end in mind. Yeah, on my next Cami lesson, I love that goal. What's the end goal? Where do I want my students to go? Awesome. Love it. Create tags to highlight progress and error tracking. Use tools to scaffold. I'm going to add a comment over here in the chat. We're going to be at this conference in the spring, and we would love, love, love to see you. So feel free to reach out to myself or Matt if you're going to be in person. We would love to connect with you in person at the OESCA Spring Conference in Columbus. So again, if you are going to be there, please reach out to myself or Matt. Our emails are up at the top. We would love to connect with you, maybe grab a coffee or chat a little bit more. Thank you, Matt, for dropping our emails in the chat as well. And again, if there's anything that we can do to support you in your district or with educators, please let us know. We would love to just be there to offer some advice, or we're able to even do this session for your district. If you're like, oh, I want more of this for my educators, let us know. And then I'm going to drop one more link that we would just love your feedback. Okay, right here is a link. You'll get a certificate of attendance. You'll put your name, your email address, and then I am not sure. We're going to do UDL, even though that wasn't the session name. That will let me know that this was the UDL session though. And then my name was Stephanie. And again, we would love your feedback. If there's something that we can follow up with, please let us know in this box. Maybe you're like, I want to try out Cami. I want a resource on ClassView. I need this. Let us know what that is and hit submit. But thank you so much for joining us. I'm going to let Matt close us out.
Super grateful, and the participation was wonderful. Melissa, you're a rock star. Just really had a good time with you all. And again, we're here to support you. Same team. We want to make sure if you want more information on the tool, we can help you with that. If you need support and you're already using the tool, we're here to support you with that as well. So we are at your service. Thank you so much for your time and consideration this afternoon.